I would like to thank the Black Lady of Chaos and Havoc for sending me this story. And this is a story I actually reported on back when it first happened back in 2016. This woman's name is Cheryl Jennings, and the guy on the left, his name is Malcolm Evans. Back in 2016, Cheryl Jennings killed I'm about to call him Malcolm Evans by, she shot him in his car. And it just recently came out that she has been sentenced to 15 years in jail. Me personally, I would have gave her life without parole. That way they could keep her ass locked up and it wouldn't affect my taxes, taxpayers' money. But she only got 15 years. But what's interesting is that she is denying that she pulled the trigger. Let me go ahead and read this article that's coming from Delaware Online. It says a Bear woman will spend 15 years in jail for the 2016 shooting death of 19-year-old Delaware State University student Malcolm Evans, though she maintains she did not pull the trigger. At her sentencing on Monday, Cheryl Jennings' attorney tried to shift some blame for the killing to her husband, Ralph, despite her April plea of no contest to manslaughter charges. That plea came days before her trial on first-degree murder, which carried a potential sentence of life in prison. She has maintained her innocence, said Joseph Hurley, her attorney, at Monday's hearing. Ralph said he pulled the trigger. Malcolm Evans, a junior at DSU who aspired to be a neurosurgeon, was shot in his car at about 4 a.m. on July 9, 2016 on Country Path Drive near the Jennings home, police said. He was on his way to work at the FedEx facility in New Castle, his family told police. In court filings, Hurley said the killing stemmed from Cheryl thinking someone was trying to break into her home. Evans' mother, Terry Evans, spoke about her family's incredible loss and hurt. She said her son lived to help others, in contrast to Cheryl, who she described as a child killer and a dream killer. She worked in the dark and killed a young man headed to work so he didn't have to ask his parents for money, Terry Evans told the court. She asked Roccanelli to apply the harshest sentence possible to deter others from taking the law into their own hands. Hurley says Cheryl took the plea as a way of letting the Evans family avoid the pain of a trial. Even with her husband pulling the trigger, she calls the situation. New Castle County Superior Court Judge Andrea Roccanelli says she was not going to entertain factors shifting blame in her sentence. Deputy Attorney General Brian Robertson said Cheryl could have called 911 had she believed someone was trying to get into her house or after Evans' car crashed. Instead, she secreted away in a hotel near the Philadelphia airport in the days after the shooting. And I think I remember that part. That did make her look even more guilty than she already was. She later told investigators she knew nothing about the shooting. He said, adding that her actions have served only to hide, obfuscate, and escape responsibility. It was Cheryl Jennings' actions, plural, that led Cheryl a 15-year sentence. After the hearing, Evans' parents said they were pleased with the sentence, appreciate the hard work and dedication of the police, but feel a little bit disappointment. We still don't feel justice is fully served because someone out there who was partially responsible is still walking the streets, said Kevin Evans, Malcolm's father, after the hearing. Basically talking about her husband. So basically, I see what she means. It's a slap in the face on a couple of counts. One, she only got 15 years when I truly believe she should have got way more, but I guess they couldn't get her on the first degree murder. Two, her husband, they're saying it's true, and based on what they're saying, it might be true, pulled the trigger, but they didn't bring him in. Like, he has just as much responsibility because it was ultimately by his hands that Malcolm Evans is dead. Robertson said the case was one of the most difficult he's encountered. There was no forensic evidence identifying who fired the single shot that killed Evans. Establishing who did this was an exceptional challenge. In separate police interview, Ralph and Cheryl gave similar stories about what led to the shooting, according to the court documents submitted by Hurley. On the morning of the killing, Cheryl had consumed alcohol and cocaine and was doing laundry. Ralph was upstairs watching television, Hurley wrote in court filings. Cheryl heard a boom and saw a black car on the street outside. That was followed later by what she thought was a jiggling of the handle of her kitchen door. She said she saw a figure running from her porch toward the street. She alerted Ralph Jennings, who grabbed the handgun and told her to stay inside. Instead, Cheryl ran out on the street with Ralph behind her, according to Hurley's court submissions. Enraged and standing in the street, Cheryl forced a car being driven by Evans to stop. In statements to police, Ralph Jennings said Cheryl was standing in front of the car shouting questions at the driver. Ralph Jennings said he saw the brake lights dim, heard the engine rev, and he pulled the trigger, quoting a police interview with Ralph Jennings. After the shot, Evans' car sped off and crashed into an embankment. He died in the hospital days later. In court documents, prosecutors said Evans' phone data showed he left his parents' home too late to have been harassing the Jennings home. Robertson noted evidence of Cheryl as the shooter was limited to a statement by one of her confidants, but he rejected Hurley's assertion that Ralph confessed to pulling the trigger. While Ralph told investigators he fired the shot, the interview was part of trial preparation for his wife with the legal agreement that his statement could not be used to prosecute him for the crime. Ralph has not been charged with the crime, was not present at the hearing, and did not return a phone call seeking comment. Manslaughter carries a sentence of 2 to 25 years. Sentencing recommendations for the crime prescribe up to a 5-year sentence. That's crazy how the husband was involved, but they didn't put any charges on him whatsoever. Basically, they saying all the blame is on her. But I feel like he has some partial blame in it too. But something tells me if she only got 15 years, if they had got him for anything, he would have got less time than her. I don't think they would have given him any more time, especially if he didn't pull the trigger. But it's kind of hard to tell us if he's like she's saying he did, but they're saying that he didn't. Either way, a trigger was pulled, a bullet hit an individual, and that individual is now dead because of her. I think we can all chop that up to that conclusion. Y'all let me know what you think about this story down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. The links will be down below. I'll talk to you in the next one.